Hello guys, and welcome to this tutorial. And in this tutorial I'll be teaching you how to build a guess the finger game. Now this project is geared towards beginner, so if you are getting started with JavaScript and you're looking for a project to practice more on your skill, then this game is for you. And after this tutorial I'll be giving you a challenge that you go back to and you build on by yourself, and you can leave the link, like a live link to your project, down below in the comment section. I'll be looking at it and I'll be seeing everything. Well, my channel is about challenges. You can see, challenge yourself to be the best. So in each of my tutorials, like any of my videos I'll be creating project on, I'll be giving you a homework assignment or a challenge so you can go back and practice more on your skill. Okay, so let me show you the project we're going to build. Let me show you the game. So it's a guess the finger game. So it has a timer. It starts from 20, counts down to 0. So this is the score. So anyone I guess right to increase the score. So yeah, I guess it's right. You can see the animation to no, like the shaking is like no, you feel that. Then the nodding is like yes, you got that. Then see game over. So it gives an alert game over. If I press OK, to restart again from starting. Okay, now that's the application, or that's the game we're going to create. So let's get started. Okay, so now I'll just have to create a new folder in the class here, and I'm just going to call it guess finger, right? Okay, now so we need the assets, like the images. So I have the images back here, and these are the images. So we need all these images. So I'm just going to copy this folder where we're going to start creating the game. So I'm going to open this folder, right, with VS Code. So I'm just going to make it big, right? So what we need to do here, I'm going to increase the size so we can be able to see it. So what we need to do first is to create our index.html, right? I'm going to create the CSS folder as well, and I'm going to create the JavaScript. I'm going to create the JavaScript folder too. So in the CSS, we're going to create a new file called main.css, right? And in the JS, we're going to create a new file called app.js. Okay, look at our assets from 0, 1, 2, 3 to 5. Exactly. So now let's start with the HTML file. So now normal scaffold, I'm going to use the exclamation and just press this one, right? And everything is there. So I'm just going to change the title to guess finger, right? So now I need to include the CSS. So link to the CSS, the relationship, the style sheet, if I can type fast. And yeah, so that's just it. So what we need to do now is to start building it. So I have to open this with, if you see the auto adjustment here, I'm using a prettier with VS Code. It's going to help me to format my HTML. So I'm going to go live with this. So I'm going to open with the live server. So now a live server is a plugin I use with VS Code. So you can get the plugin from the extension option here and just look for live server. So I'm going to open this with live server because it's going to help me to do auto like refresh when we're coding. So I'm going to put them side by side, right? So like this. So I think this is better. Maybe I'll adjust this a little bit. Okay, so now in the body, let's get to work. So what we need to do here now is to create an header, right? It's an ID of header first. Because of our header, then we need a container. Now this container will be used for our responsive design. If you want to make the site responsive, so it will be like they'll be in the middle, so there will be like a space side by side. So you know normal responsive design now. So you want the site to be more responsive. You want to use a container. Okay, so now we need the score, right? The score. I'm going to put a spam here and ID of score, right? So let's start with 0. So if I hit the save button, see the auto refresh, score is down there. So if I increase this a little bit, I hope you guys can see it. So now we need the header called the H1 to guess finger, right? So the third one that we need here now is our countdown, like our countdown timer. So I have to give it an ID of countdown timer, right? So I'm gonna start with 00. It's 20 seconds. So if you want to increase it, no problem. Okay, now so now we're done with that. So we're done with the other part of it. If you look at our own here, you can see the score, finger, and everything. So now we're done with the other part of it. So now let's get started with the main of the content. So now we're going to open a main tag, right, and the same container as well. Yeah, same container. And what we need here, we need the section for the result page, like the result. Like when we see here, we're seeing this guy is the result. Like when we click on it, is the result. It's going to tell us if it's wrong or right. So down here, what we need a section with an ID of result, right? And we need the image that we're trying to change. So yeah, we'll say result image, right? And the source, let's pick one image from the source. So I'll pick the 5th one. I think that one is better for now. And when we hit save, you can see it's kind of big. Don't worry, we're going to create the HTML, like everything, all the HTML structure first before we get to the CSS. So now we have that. So what we need next now are those pictures, like those buttons that you click, like this one. What we need now is these buttons down here. So now let's create those buttons, right? So we're going to create it to the div with an ID of fingers that contains everything. Then we'll create a button with a class of BT and finger, and I'm going to give it data num equals to 0. Don't worry, I'm going to explain this attribute to you. Is what we're going to use with JavaScript to select those buttons. Don't worry, we're getting there. So in the buttons, we need to put in the images, right? So the image with the source of image just starts with 0, like that. And we can see, so now we're done with one of the button. So it's we're going to see the button, right? Can we see this button? So what we need to do now is to copy it 5 times. So we're going to copy this 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I'll change this to 1, right? Change this one also to 1, and we're going to change this one to 2 as well, and change this one to 3, and change this one to 4, and the 5th one too, just like that. And boom, we're done. So now we can see them all, like all the fingers, right? Okay, now so now let's get started with styling it. So we're going to go to our CSS, right? So these are CSS, go to our CSS. So now down here, we're going to style this. So we're going to have a default. We're going to have a CSS reset, like a CSS reset. So we're going to make the margin 0 and the padding 0. And we're going to give it a box sizing, so it's able to calculate the height and width and padding anytime we're trying to put all of that. Instead of us to be thinking, oh, we gave it 20 pixels, so I'm going to minus it from the padding, blah blah blah. So this is just going to remove it from the width and the height. We don't have to do all of that. Okay, so I'll give a border box like that. Can we see? Now we're going to put the body. Yeah, so I'm using a font, right? I'm using a font. So let's go to Google Fonts. Like I'm using a custom font. So fonts.google is loading it up. So what we're looking for is an handwriting font. So I'll go to category. I'll unselect all of them. I'm looking for an handwriting font, and this is the one I used. So I'll click on it. Right, I'll select this one. So what we need to do now, we selected the one we need, like this Pacifico. Yeah, that's the font. So in the embedded now, we just have to copy this link because that's what we're going to use for the font, right? So let's go back to our page. So in the HTML folder, we're just going to paste it before the CSS, right? So this is it here. So here's the save button. So now, yeah, I want to put the font family, and it's Pacifico. Sorry about that. So copy this, right? It's a cursive font family. So now that's for that. So we can see it down here immediately when we save. We can see that it's getting effects already. So now what we need to put in the body now is the background. I'm going to use this sort of kind of dark blue background. So color, I'm going to give it £091A28. Yeah, that's the background. So it's save, we can see. So now what we need to do now is to give our image, to make our image responsive. So when we give it a width, it should be responsive. So we say max width of 100%, right? So now let's deal with our container. So our container is going to have a margin. Firstly, we're doing what's it called? We're doing mobile first responsive design. So we're designing for the mobile first before we get to desktop. So in mobile, we want the margin to be 5% and the margin right to be 5% as well. So now let's deal with the header. So if you see the header, right, the header down here, we need a color of orange. So what we're gonna do now is to select the header, right, and down here I'll give it the background color of orange. I just use the orange keyword like that, and we want a padding all around, like you want the padding up, top and bottom, 1 rm and 0. So when we save, you can see that. So now I want a line height of 40 pixel. Then I want to give it a color as well, like the color, the text color. I'm gonna give it a color of 0918. Yeah, this one. Like the same color that we give to the background, I'm going to give it to the text. So it's save. It's not going to be that visible because it's kind of black, but it's not really black. So now that's for that. So what we need to do next now is to make our container flexible, like to give it a flexbox. We're going to use flexbox to design our layout. So for flexbox, so we can see in our container, right, so this is the parent div of this following guy. So I have to give it container a flex. So yeah, I'll say in the header and the container, so we want to give the display of flex. So by default it's row, the flex is row, but all of them, they all match up together, but that's not what we want them to be separated. So we're going to put a justify content, and now, oh, not text content, why am I doing that? Justify content, and I'll say space between, so give them space all around. So we save, you can see space between. Very simple. Like, I really love Flexbox. See how easy it is. I was using float and the rest like that. Okay, now that's for that. So now we need to style the font, like the H1. We need to style the H1, right? So in the H1 we want to give it a font family, a font size, of 1.8 rem. Yeah, for this mobile design, so just a little bit smaller for the mobile design. So now let's get started. Let's start styling the results. This result here, let's start styling this first guy. So the way we're going to start our first guy now is to say in the results, right, in the results we want to give it a max width of 120 pixel, right? So you see, because we gave this guy the image a max width of 100%, that's why it's kind of conforming to the width of the parent element, which is the result. So if I comment this one out and see, it's not going to take effect. You see that? So the image is not responsive. But now if I say max width of 100%, it's going to be responsive. It's going to take the width of the parent element, which is the result. So now what we need to do now is to give it a border, 4 pixel solid green. But this green is going to change, like when it's wrong, it's going to show red, stuff like that. So now we have that. So the border radius, right, you have to give it a border radius of about 20 pixel. Yeah, I think 20 pixel is okay. And give it a padding of 1 rem and a margin of 20 pixel auto. Right, so it will be in the center. So 20 top and bottom and auto left and right, so it will be in the center. When I hit save, you can see this right here. Perfect. Right, it just almost is the same. So now we need to style the buttons. Now this is the main place. We need to style the buttons. Okay, now for the buttons, so what we need to do now is to make them flexible. Like we should give them a flex box layout. So see display flex, right, and the flex, when we see display flex, you can see that we want it to wrap. Anytime we're trying to do it like this, we want it to wrap, like it should wrap. So what we're gonna do is say flex wrap. We're gonna say it should wrap, right? So then what we need to do now is to give it justify content of center. So they will be in the center, like they're always gonna be in the center. So now the next thing that we need to do now, we need to style the individual buttons. So button fingers, right? So the background, I'm gonna give it the background color, and the color we're gonna use is 071512, right? That's the color we're gonna use. So I know it's not showing yet, but don't worry, it's gonna show. So what we need now is the border. I want to make the border none. I want to move the none there, so we don't want the border. Then we want the flex basics, like the width, numbers like the width, 20%. Then we want a margin all around them to be 0.5 rem. There's something wrong, like it is not taking effect. It is not taking effect. Am I spelling the class wrong? Oh, fingers. Okay, let me just move this. Yeah, perfect. So we can see everything, right? You can see it now. So that was a mistake by me. So now we need a border radius, and I'll say 20 pixel, so we can see all around it's curved. Hope you can see that. Then what we need next is to, if we go over it, like we need to be a pointer, like it should be a pointer, not this cursor kind of this thing. So we want to change the cursor to pointer. So when we go there, we can see it's in pointer. Perfect. So what we need to do next now is to give it an overclass. So when you override it, we want it to be orange. Like when you get to it, we want it to be orange. So what we're gonna do now is the btn finger over, then we want the background color to be orange. Yeah, I want it to be orange so we can see, but it's too sharp. Like we want a transition, like it's too sharp, so we're gonna put the transition. So now where we're gonna put the transition now is right here. So transition, and I'll say I just want to leave the background. Well, let me just make it all. And does it mean? Okay, let me get background color. So I want it to have like 3 seconds, then ease in out, right? So take us 3 seconds duration. So when we go over it, we're having this 3 seconds, or let's make it 2 seconds. Yeah, I think that is better. It's looking better now. So now what we need to do is to give us a padding. Like we need the padding inside, like it's too near the edges of the button. So now we're going to give the btn finger image, right? So we're going to say padding of 1 rem, right? So it's save. Yeah, we can see that perfectly. So but we need a kind of animation, right? A simple animation. So when you overdo it like this, the image should just be big a little bit, like should just be big. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say, okay, in the transition, and we want it to be 5 seconds durations, and we want it to be easing. We're still going to use easing out, and we're trying to affect just the transform property. the transform property, right? So now when we get to the btn finger, when you over to the btn finger, we want, this is a kind of style, when you over to this btn the btn but like this button, when you over to this button, we want the image to be like to scale up a little bit. So we're saying, okay, when you over the button, you want it to scale. So yeah, I can just put the image, right? So now I'll say transform, and I'll say scale like that, 1.1. So now when we get, you can see it, but something is wrong, is a little bit too sharp, like it's sharp. What is wrong? It's a little bit sharp. So my spelling, oh, I'm not spelling this well, so S, yeah, see what happened when I spell well. Okay, now see, it's working perfectly. Now that's just it. So now let's talk about the responsiveness of the site, like when we make it responsive. So if you see, like, see what's going on, we don't want that, it's too big. You want to give the container a kind of a width on each screen, like on some screen that I want to target. So in the media now, mean width, right? Mean width of 1000 pixel, 1000 pixel. We want the container to be a width of 900 pixel, and we want to give it a margin 0 auto, right? So when we are in also the mean width of 800 pixel, we want to give the container, it's not even the no, it's not, sorry, we want to give the buttons. So yeah, the finger, the btn finger, right? So I want to give it the flex of 1. Yeah, a flex of 1. So we're overriding this flex basics down here, making it 1, so it will be like this. Can we see? So perfect. So now this is it on the bigger screen, and this is it on the smaller screen. Okay, so let's get started with the JavaScript. So now let's make this guy work. Like when we click on each of this button, let's make it work. What is this? I don't like that. Let's remove the outline. Like in the bottom, I'm going to remove the outline. So here, I see outline of none. That line, don't like that. So when we click, yeah, perfect. Okay, now let's continue. So we want to start creating the JavaScript, the main part of it, the logic. So yeah, we're going to link to our script with the source of app, JS, first like app.js, right? So now let's go to our JavaScript, which is down here. So let's test if it's working first. Console.log hello. Let's see. Okay, I'm opening my console. Yeah, it's working perfectly. Please don't mind this error. This error is coming from like live server. Okay, so we can see our hello, right? Let me increase this a little bit. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, now so let's continue. So what we need to do now, we need to select, like now I want to do some DOM manipulation. We need to select this first. We need to select the score, select the countdown. So let's get started with that. So now for how I'm going to select, so I'll say I'm going to use a constant because I'm not going to like redeclare it or redefine it. So yeah, I'll say const, yeah, right, and I'll say UI score. Like anything that has to do with the HTML. If I'm selecting from the HTML, I like to put a prefix called UI. Is it a prefix? Yes, a prefix called UI. I like to put this UI first, so I will know that, oh, this is coming from the HTML. That's coming from the user interface. The UI stands for user interface. So that's just how I want to do it. You can just call it score or whatnot. But for me, when I'm getting with the HTML, I'm trying to select anything from the HTML, I like to put a prefix called UI. So now in the UI score, what I need to do now is to select it. So I'll say document.query selector, right? I'm trying to select this element here. This one, this score element here. So I'll say is the score, right? That's it. So the next thing for us, we want to select the countdown. So same thing, const UI countdown timer document.query selector, and what is the ID again? Countdown timer. Let me just copy it. I'm lazy. Okay, so what I need to do next now is to select this result, like this result image. So say UI result image and same old query selector using pound result image, right? So the next one we want to select now is this, the full element, like the parent element that contains all the buttons. We'll see what we're going to do that. So yeah, I'll say UI fingers and document.query selector, and what is that called? It's called the fingers, if I'm correct. Yeah, fingers. So it's safe. So now we're not having any error. So that means we select all the elements properly. Like every element is selected properly. So now what we need to do now is to create an event listener. So you know that we need to listen to all of these events, like these click events. Like we need to listen to when we click on each of these buttons, like we need to listen for the event. Okay, we can select all the elements on the page, right? That won't be nice. So we're going to use what they call event delegation. So event delegation is a mechanism that enables us to like add an event to the parent element. So like when we click on each of these buttons, we're going to target them easily. So instead of us like selecting all of them like that, I'm going to use what I call event delegation. So the event delegation, I'm going to put an event listener to the fingers, right? These fingers, so that we can easily select all these elements inside. So what we're going to do now is to say, okay, the UI fingers. Now say add event listener. So what we want to listen for? We want to listen for an event. So the event is called click. We want to listen for the click button. So we're going to use a arrow function, right? Put the event, the fat arrow function. So let's say console.log hello, right? So now when we click on any of this button, anywhere, if you see I'm clicking on house, anywhere that concerns the UI fingers, you can see that they are all working. So now what we need to do now is to know the exact element that you're clicking. So let's say console.log e.target, right? We want to know the exact target, what is that element we're clicking. So now when we click on this, you can see telling us that we're clicking on this image. We're clicking on the image 0, image 2. Can we see that? Very easy. Instead of us selecting all the elements, which is not actually really that good. We'll have to look through them, select all the elements and look through them, which I don't really do advise. Like this way is much better, because let's say you're trying to create an element that it's not among here and you want to select it later down the line. You can't do that with you selecting it, because normally when you load your HTML, like all your content is being loaded and your JavaScript is being loaded. So all this stuff that is here, that's what you can select, right? But when you like pad another element to this guy, you can select it easily. But when you use an event delegation, you can do that. Okay, now that's for that. Let's clear the console. I can clear the console from here. Okay, perfect. So what we need to do next is for us to get the particular button that we're pressing, right? The particular button we're pressing. So say const, right? And I'll say button finger, and we're looking for the number. So I'll say e.target, right? The parent element, right? The parent element. I might type in stuff. Console.log btn finger number, right? So let's just see. So when we click on it, we're getting the parent element, because this is the image. We're clicking on the image, right? We're trying to get the parent element of this image that we're clicking on, which is the button, because we have this attribute here. We're trying to select this attribute. It's called a data set. So this data set is we can create our own default attribute with HTML, but we have to put this data dash num so that we can able to select it with our HTML. That was why I put it down here. So we're saying this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, like that. So we want to get that. So we want to know the exact button that we click. So now for us to do that, we say data set, right? Data set. So the data set is called the norm. So if this one is a different, if you use a different word here, then it's the same thing. It's just going to get it for us. So data set dot norm, right? So when we hit refresh, we click on this, you can tell us see 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's telling us the particular image that we're clicking. So now what we need to do now is to create a random, like a random number, right? A random number. So random number is going to go from 0 to 5 because we're trying to randomize it. Like anytime we click on any of these buttons, it's going to create a random number. So we're trying to guess that random number, right? Because let me explain the app for you. When you click on this button down here, let's say this is 5. So we're trying to guess the random number the computer is creating. So here we're going to say the const random number. So here we'll say math.random, right? So the random number is going to give us is from 0 to 1. So 0 0.1.2, 0 blah blah blah, stuff like that. So let's put the random number here. Random number. So let's see what it's giving us. So anytime we refresh, it's going to give us a different random number. Let's save it, and anytime we click on this, see a different random, anywhere a different random number, right? So what we want, we don't want this, we want it to go from 0 to 5. So, and we want to remove this, like we want to remove these decimal places. So here, and I'll say times 6 because it's going to go from 0 to 5. So times 6. So when it's saved, let's see what it's going to give us again. So it's giving us, can we see, it's giving us from 0, 3, 2, 5, 3, 2, 4, 1, 0. Can we see that? So now we want to remove this decimal place. So we're going to put it into another math object called, it's a property called floor, right? So hit the save button and we click on it. Can we see 0, 0, 0? So it's giving us a different random number when we click. Different random number when we click. So now we need to now check if the button that we press, like if the button that we press is equals to the random number. So if we got it right, if we got it right. So now the way we're going to do that is simple. So down here, first thing first, before we do that, you know, once we're clicking on this, we don't want to get an error. So if there's any other things that we're clicking inside this finger, like if there are any other stuff inside the finger element, we don't want to do that. It's going to give us undefined, it's going to show us an error. So we need to prevent that. So what we're going to do is, if for any reason the target that we're clicking is not actually the finger, like the finger button, then we want to return from this function. So we say if no button, then we return. Since it's just a one line code, you can just put the return. We don't have to put the curly braces. It's going to work fine like that. So now what we need to do now is to say, okay, we want to check the random number and we want to check it with the button that we actually pressed. Okay, so we're going to pass it in. So if normally this is going to give us a string, this guy is a string, so we want to pass it in as an integer. So I'll say pass int, and I'll say the btn number. So say if it's equals to the random number, right? If it equals to the random number, let's see. So say console.log yes. So let's see that. So when we click on it, passing yes, see, then let's put the else. I'll say console.log no, it's not equals to, so we're guessing it wrong. So you see, no, yes, can we see? So that is working now. So what we need to do here now is when we guess it right, like when the button that we press, like when we guess the random number right, we want to increase the score, like we want to increase the score property here. We want to increase the score property when we guess it right. So what we need to do now is to come down here. We're going to create a variable called scores and we say is equals to 0, right? So here I can just say score plus plus. So when you say plus plus is to increase it by 1 every time. So now we have to put this score in our HTML. So here I can say the UI score dot inner text is equals to score, just like that. Can we see that? So we save and let's test it if it's gonna work. So maybe I'll draw this one down a little bit. So when I click on it, it's giving us not a number. So oh sorry, scores S. Okay, so now you can see it's no. And why is it giving us that? Inner scores, even HTML span, not true. Scores. Why am I always putting notes? Scores, sorry, my bad. Okay, can we see now? Getting a see the score is working, is increasing. Perfect. Okay, so what we need to do next now is to show the user like what element it was, what image that we're trying to guess, like what finger that we're trying to guess. Yeah, we don't want to make them feel that I just clicking like don't really know the particular image, right? So we're going to say the UI results dot. Now we're going to set this result now, right? This result I'm getting from here. I'm going to set the source to it. If you know, in our image we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this math.random is from 0 to 5, right? So when we click on the button, it creates a different random number. So that random number will be the one we're going to use to pluck out these images, right? So down here we're going to say, okay, I want to set the attributes of this image. I want to set the attribute, the source attribute. So I'll say set attribute source, right? So we're going to say the image. I'm going to use a template string, a template literal in JavaScript. So here I'll say image. Down here, then I'll put in the pound the random number, right? .png. So that's what we're going to use to get in the image from the particular random number image you're trying to create. So now we're going to say this is like that. So when I hit save, so let's see. So anytime we click on it, see, it's telling us is no. Yes is no. Let's try to get to the yes button. Really, everything okay? Yeah, perfect. So we can see it, yes, and that's the finger, which is the one. So let's try to do that same thing for like when you guess it wrong. Like let's put it down there so you see what I'm trying to say. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it in the else. So if it's not a random number, then what is the random image? What was it like? What was it? So when it save, so when I click on this, telling you that it was 2, right? Like the 2, not 4. So if I press on this one again, it's telling us that it's 5. Like it was not that. So it's telling us 1, you got it wrong. And this, you can say, okay, we got it right. So our score has increased to 1. Perfect. Okay, so now when we do that, we need to change the border, like the border of the result. So it's going to be green, and when we got wrong, it's going to be red. So we're going to say down here, then I'll say the UI result dot style dot border. Then we'll say we want to be 4 pixel, right? Solid green. Then if we got it wrong, we want it to be red. Red. So red. So I'm trying to click on this. Oh, what just happened? What just happened? Oh, okay, the image. So what we want to do, we want to get the parent element. So we want to transverse the DOM by getting the parent element and setting it to green. Sorry about that. So yeah, I'll say parent element. So here to parent element. Sorry. Perfect. So now we click on this, you can see, yeah, this is wrong. See, right, wrong, right, wrong, right. Okay, now that's for that. So now what we need to do next is for us to put an animation, like we want to put an animation. So you know, in our previous one, when you click on it, it's shaking, like we want to put an animation. So the animation we're going to put is, we're going to use from animate CSS. So we're going to use animate CSS. Is a library or is a plugin rather that we can use. It had some beautiful animations. So we can see bounce, it has some animations and stuff like that. But what we want is the shake Y and shake X. So how can we install that? So we're going to use the CDN. What is the CDN? This guy does not have a CDN. Okay, this is a CDN. So we're going to copy this one. Right, so in our index, we're going to paste it. Yeah, this is the CDN. So this is how I'm going to install it. So what we need now, let's look at how we're going to use it. So what we need now is an animate, then this one. Let's see how they use it with JavaScript. See how they use with JavaScript. Oh, they don't have a way to use JavaScript. They do have a way. Where's that? Where's the place called? Okay, yeah, this is it. So we're going to add the class. We're going to add the class to the element. So this class animate and animated. We want to this animate underscore animated. Then this is the particular animation that you want, which are all here. These ones you can choose anyone you want from here. So what we want to do now is we want to add that class to it. Right? We want to add the class to the element. So this results element, like this one, I want to add it to it. So if we're going to do that, let's go to our JavaScript. So normally we're going to say, okay, the UI result image, we want to select the parent element, and we want to say, okay, we want to say the class, we want to add the class to it, the class list, then add class list, then we want to add to the class. So yeah, we want to add a class of, what's that thing called again? Sorry. Says the animate underscore animated, right? We want to add two class to it, so we can add two class like this, then animate underscore. So we want the slide, this is for the yes, we want the slide X. Right, let's see. So when we click on it, let's try to guess it. Oh, why is it not working? Refresh, let's see that again. What is the problem? Let me get the green one. I don't know why that's not working. Is it animates? Is it a one slide? Is that slide? Sorry, animate. Is it slide? Oh, it's not like slide. Shake YX. I see slide. Great. Sorry. Shake X. Yeah. So let's see. Let's try to guess it. Yeah, perfect. It's working. So let's copy this. Then when we got it right, I want it to shake like X. No, Y. Sorry, we want to shake Y. So Y is like, oh, is X? Is it X or Y? Yeah, X. We want to shake X like when we're nodding our head. Yes, you got it. Then for the wrong one, I want it to be Y. Save it, and you can see that is not actually it. No, we what we want to do is, for when we got it, we want it to be Y and X. So let's see. No, you got it wrong. That's how it's supposed to be. But we see it's only doing that for once. It's only doing that once. So what we need to do now is, if you look down here, it has JavaScript has what we call, like, when we're done with the animation, we want to remove that class. Because if you look at this closely, let me refresh the page again. So if I click on this, right, it has the class already. Like, it has the class of animate already. So when we try to click on it again, it's just going to work, except if we change it, except if we got it the first time. Then when we got it the first time, that's it. So it's not going to redo it again. So we have to remove the class animate. We want to remove this class and put it back again. Like after we're done animating, we want to remove it so that anytime we click on this button, it's going to animate again. So I think they have a way they did it there. Like JavaScript has a way. I want to just show you how we can use. So you see animation end is an event. So when we're done with animating it, we want to remove that class down here inside this place. Yeah. So I'm going to say the UI results dot parent element dot add event listener. Yeah, add event listener. Then say animate end. You can see that then as a function, a callback function. So here we want to remove this class. We want to remove them class. So copy this, right? Or we can just target it immediately. Instead of copying this again, we can just say yeah, the target. So here we can see the element itself like this, the parent element itself, the target. So e.target. Then we want to remove the class. We want to remove all this class here. So we'll copy this. We want to remove all of them. For that, then I want to do the same thing for when we got it wrong. So yeah, we're gonna remove it. Just the X. Yeah, this X one is the same thing. Now hit save. Let's see that if it's gonna work now. We'll click on it. Yes. No. See, it's always animating. So after we're done animating it to remove the class, then we can add it back. So if you look at it, click on it, animation, remove the class is come, it went back. Like here the class, remove the class. Here the class, remove the class. Perfect. So now we're done with that. So what we need to do next is to do the countdown. Like we need to start doing the countdown now. So what we need to do now is we're going to create a countdown class here, right? Yeah, see class, a variable. So let's countdown equals to 0, right? We want the countdown to be equals to 0. So now I'm going to use a set interval for us to do that. Set interval is a function in JavaScript that counts like particular interval for us, like maybe 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to create a variable, say call it timer, right? And I'll say set interval, and we're going to create a function called start countdown, and we want it to go for 1 second. So every 1 second we want it to be minusing from the countdown here. So this guy is going to be 20 seconds. It's going to go for 20 seconds. So now down here we're going to create a function called start countdown, right? So here what we're gonna do is I'll say okay, for every 1 second we want to be removing 1 from the countdown. So here I'll say countdown minus. So let's say console.log countdown. Let's see, yeah, so we can see is minusing it. So can we see that is minusing it? Perfect. So what we need to every 1 second is going to keep on. If you put 2000, this is in milliseconds though. If you put 2000, it's going to keep doing that as well. So what we need to do is that we need to put it in our countdown, like we need to put in our countdown element. So here I have to put the pound sign. Thank God I saw that. So yeah, we're going to say the UI countdown dot inner text, right? So UI countdown dot inner text. So we're gonna say it goes to the countdown. So now see it's 18, 17. But if you notice, there was 00 at the end, like 00, like for the minute. So we have to pad that, right? You have to pad that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a template string. So yeah, I'll say 00, then like that. Use a template string, and it's save. Now we can see that. Perfect. But one thing, when we get to 10, like when we get to 10, 9, it's going to be 9, 8 instead of 0, 0, 9, 0, 8, 0, 7. You can see that we need to pad that 0. So what we're going to do, I want to use a ternary operator. So now we're saying if the countdown is less than 10, like when it's less than 10, we want to pad that 0. So now we say 0, like this, 0 string plus the countdown, right? else we just want the countdown. Like if it's not less than 10, then we just want the countdown. We want to pattern in 0. So fresh, we can see, right? Can we see this? 18, 17, perfect. So one other thing is when we get to 0, like when we get to 0, it's going to be minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. We don't want that. When we get to 0, we want to stop and create an alert. So you see, we're seeing the minus, right? We don't want that. So what we're going to do, we want to clear the interval. So we say if the countdown is equals to 0, we want to clear the interval. Want to clear the interval. So it's going to be this timer here, this variable here. We want to clear it. We want to stop it, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to say, okay, alert game over when we're done. So now when we get to, let me make this smaller so we can turn it back to this, and so we don't have to waste time. Make it 5. So you see it goes from 3, 2, 1, 0, game over. Can we see that? So if I click OK, we want to start the game. When we click OK, we want to restart the game. So what we're going to do to restart the game is we have to call this function. We want to call the function inside of the function. We have to call the function again, or not really call the function again, sorry. We have to redeclare this one again. So we want to copy this, we have to redeclare it, like start it over again. Then we have to, let's make everything back to 20. Yeah, let's make it back to 20. Then yeah, we have to set back the timer. Since we have minus the countdown, set back the timer to to 20. So now let's play the game. Let's just play it and see. So we got it right, wrong. Yes, we got in it. You see, it's nothing is there like hell yeah, you got it right. And yeah, you got it right. I scored 6, you got it wrong. You see, game over. Our score was 6, right? If I click OK, it's gonna restart it again, right? See, but it started from that 0. So in the index, let's make it okay. Yeah, it's perfect. It's there. So we can see that. So now that's the game. Like that's just the game, and it is perfect, guys. It is perfect. I'm loving it. I'm loving the game line. It is okay. Now, so that's for that, guys. So now I'm going to show you. I really hope you enjoy this game that we built. I really hope you enjoy it. So, but before we if I'm going to end the video, I have to show you a challenge. That you're going to do for me. So let me open it up. Okay guys, so this is the challenge. The challenge is for you. You're going to create a dice game. So we can see what it's saying here. Say, okay, the player 1, what's your name? My name is Reagan. What's the other player name? Stek, right? So this is it, Reagan, and this is Stek. So it's a game that it's a dice game. So you want to play with your friends, you want to play a dice game with your friends. So when we press roll, it's telling me this is Reagan's turn. This is the player 1's turn, like Reagan's turn, right? So when I press the roll, now this is what I got, 4-4, perfect, which is 8. So now this is the second player now, which is Tech, is his turn. So when you press roll, he has 4 plus 2, he has 6. So now it's my turn. I can press roll and randomize it. So we can see that. So it's a simple game like I want you to do for me, the challenge, and I want you guys to create this game for me and put it in the link, put it in the comments down. Give me a live link to it. You can use Netlify or you could use GitHub page to host it. Put it in a live link. I'm going to look at everybody's own, and in the next video I'm going to give it, if you can make it better, design it, make it better than this, great. I'm going to show yours in my next video, because my channel is all about challenges. I can't just teach you and just let you go. You have to go back and challenge yourself and see if you could do what we did. It's the same concept, but it's the same concept. We're trying to randomize these images down here. So try and do that. So I'll be giving you the link I'll be giving you the resources, I'll be giving you the images, right, in my GitHub repo. It's going to be among the GitHub repo for this finger. So it's going to be under a folder called challenge. So I'll put all the image in there. I hope to see your link down below. I have to see your projects. I'll be very, very glad if I do. Okay, so now that is it guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, don't forget to hit the like button. Bye for now.